Hey there, how there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to yet another ASG Golf video to do with the 70s 90s tour and day 4 of 5 for the US versus World match play thing from Le Golf National en France. Quite simple, all 4 tours will have 12 American golfers on one team and 12 internationals on another team. Highest point total wins, and whoever is judged to be the highest scoring singles player by the 5 days will get a trip to Augusta for the year-end tournament starting on New Year's Day 2026. If you're the top player on the other side, you get a backdoor tournament thing. You just get second place and you get a backdoor tournament, which you can qualify as a wild card. Of course, the U.S. is crushing the world 22-13, so basically, that's just pure wrong and all that. But, the Americans have a dream team. I mean, I look at it, it's like Tway, Murphy, and Brooks are kind of my weak points for the U.S. team. They got some very good players and all that. We will be keeping our eyeballs today on the Jerry Pate, Greg Norman match because those are two great guys from the 70s versus 90s. Stats-wise, we look at who's on top of the U.S. and who's on top of the world by points. Right now, Lee Trevino and Huey Green are a perfect 3 for 3 from the singles matches. Trevino technically would get the advantage. I put Trevino in ahead of Hubie Green. With the weakest American, Mark O'Meara, with half a point. Mark Brooks has 1.5 points. Bob Tway actually has 2.5 points, so he's no chicken. Bob Murphy got the point. But the world team is struggling. Even though Steve Elkington and the Great White Shark, Greg Norman, are 3-0, and Norman would get the advantage because I think Norman's better than Elkington. Only 7 of the 12 players have at least half a point. Grady and Alum suck, but they have half a point. The biggest tisk is Bruce Crampton in my mind. I mean, Faraday, Baker Finch, Chi-Chi, and Nobilo. Also are bad, but anyway. So we'll be keeping our eyeballs on the Pate Norman match, especially with the fact Greg Norman's going to try to get himself maybe a top 2 finish. And things. Here we go. First hole. Pate. Look out! Got it. A few more yards, that would roll in the water. Add on a font. The start. The font. Who's a font there? The start. All right, second shot. For Norman, he avoids the water. Long shot. Jerry Pate. Long shot there. For birdie. Off by 3. Pate. Off by 1. That's okay. They'll tie. Just to let you know that, unlike most match play tournaments, if it's all score after 18 holes, it's a half point for everybody. No playoff involved. Jerry Pate up and over. Hey. Greg Norman. Whoa. Oh, boy. Norman trying to go 4 for 4 and maybe get himself some retribution. I know a lot of people are probably going to be asking me, what if there are 2 golfers who are 4-0? What if 2 golfers go 5-0? It is possible. What do you do? Well, then we have a plan. Double bogey for Norman. He can't do anything. Pate will win the hole. One of my first thoughts was, well, those 2 golfers will play in the next tournament in Glen Abbey in Oakville for September. And I might say that whoever does better of the 2 by the better at the table gets the August spot. But that wouldn't be right. What would happen in logic if 2 guys go 5-0 is I would basically pair them up and say, well, how did you do on your 5 days? What was the winning margin of victory? Because if one person has a better margin of victory than the other, then that person should get in because, they had a better thing. But I could also go by what the body of work is. Like, what type of growth you had to face. Paid for par. Shot, on to 4. So Pate down the middle poo. Pikey poo, what can you do? 258. Norman. Down the Pikey poo again. 259. Pate, second shot. It is a par 4. Ah, you just hit the bunker. Norman, good chance. No. Fuck. Okay, buddy. I always get that. Jerry Pate. And we does that for par. Okay, Norman tap the hole. 5. All right, on to 5. Pate to the right hand side, right center. He stays on the fairway. 264. Grady Norman. Whoa, that's wide right. Very wide right. Second shot. Up and we will be somewhere. Pate. Up and top. Birdie. Ooh, no, just short. Pate for the hole. We go too up. So Jerry Pate trying to prove to Norman that he's not invincible. I am invincible. Right in the middle. Pate. Norman. I'll be making hot dogs. Norman. Up and Norman rollback. If it wasn't for the rollback, he would have been right there. The birdie. One for Norman for the hole. Right. On to 7. Norman. Very sweet right center for 254. Second shot, Norman up and nice shot. Jerry Pate up and catch. Norman will lag. He doesn't trust Pate's 17-foot shot. Well, he should have. Pate now. Nicholas beats Nobilo, so the Golden Bear does his job against Nobilo. Come on, it's Jack freaking Nicholas. What do you expect? Pate bobbles that shot. Norman. No. Pate. Not really the best shot in the world. Apart. But he makes it. Norman. For the hole. You would have been down by only 1. 1 to 9. Par 5. Just missed. Norman, first base dry. He went for dry, and he's got the advantage on this part. Up and over. He hit the bunker. But remember, he hasn't dropped a shot. Pate, you hit the water, you drop a shot. You lose a shot. Okay. Norman. Okay. Pate for par. Off by 2 feet. Norman for the hole. And Trevino beats Alum, so that keeps Lee Trevino in the lead in a sense because he's now 4 for 4 with singles wins. So Lee Trevino pretty much has this one there. He's 4-0. Well, if he wins his last match, he's practically going to be given the trip to Augusta. Pitch shot. A lot of people actually said, what if the Americans have like a big lead for birdie? I Norman missed. Pay for the hook. Oh, he couldn't do it. Then we would do game 5. Well, game 5 would be kind of simulated until the final matchup. And of course, because the matchup does mean something. And we do have to, and remember, we have to set up for September. Pate's lucky because that was almost rolling backwards to the water. Pate misses by a foot. Norman for the hole. No. Pate will be up by 1. Luke Manson beats Bobby Cole, so it looks like good times for the Americans. I think that's 3 American wins and none for the world. Okay. I think it's pretty much going to be impossible for the world to actually beat the Americans. So now it's down to the Americans 8. The red, white, and blue. I'll tell you what to do. Kiss my ass. You can kiss my ass. Okay, nice shot. Norman, might as well putt. And he puts it in. Pate is And he makes the shot. He would have been up by 2. Let's go. Under 13. Norman up, and that will go left center. Of course, we'll keep our eyeballs on bonus coverage later on. Both guys on the fairway. Norman, second shot. Up and over. Very Pate. Up and over. For birdie. Too much. Norman for the hole. He went a little too far. And Pate misses, so Norman has a golden chance to tie the match. He does. David Faraday beats Ray Floyd, so that's 1 point for the internationals. So Faraday gets a point. He finally gets a point down the center for Norman. 5 holes left. Remember, as I said, if this ends tied after 18 holes, it's a half point. Americans still leading 3-1 today. Up and over. That's an eagle putt because this is a par 5. Ouch. Norman. Well, he'll have to hope for a good shot here, which he doesn't get because that would have been great for the hole. Oh, but Jerry Pate makes the eagle. He's back in the 8th. Baker Finch beats O'Meara, so Baker Finch has a point for the internationals. 3-2 today. So the Americans were seeing 1 point. Anyway, Pate down the middle. Greg Norman. On the middle, himself, 280. Second shot. Here we go. Oh, no, it's rolling. Oh, but it rolled right into the rough. I saved his butt. Pate. Well, I shot was really Pate on that one. The Juge. Norman trying to kill first for a 4 putt. For the hole. For the hole. Damn it. Norman for par. Ah, he missed. Pate will win, and now he's almost got this one. Lehman beats Grady by 1, so that's 4-2 to the Americans, if I remember right. Pate, look out. Up, he's in the fescue, so he'll have to have a relief. Norman, don't hit the water. Oh, man. Almost El Perfecto. So Pate will have to do that. Well, Jerry Pate would have probably hated it. Norman can keep it. But why 2 when you're doing 1? Norman's down by 1. Hey, Elkington, big win for him against Hubie Green. Elkington's actually 4 for 4, right? Yeah, it's him and Greg Norman who are 3 for 3. So Elkington is trying to make a roll to probably maybe get to the Augusta, maybe get to the backup tournament. Now, of course, you get a spot in the backup tournament. That does not mean you're automatically in the backup tournament. You are still eligible to win. You're still eligible to win later in the year. I mean, all 4 leagues have had that. Justin Rose, Gary Player, James Braid, and David Duvall all had been second in a previous tournament, but then won another tournament later on, and their second place was turned into first. Norman, up and over. Kick. Pate. We'll have to have that one up the fairway. Doesn't look good for him. If Norman can make the shot, it would be tied. What a mistake. It would be tied in the Fred Couples crushes Corey Franco by 5, so Fred Couples wins. So that's 4-3, I think, for the Americans. No, 5-3 because 5-3 in America. Oh, my goodness. That almost was game over because Pate's up by 1. All Pate has to do is win or tie the hole. He doesn't have to. Norman, well, he's got to be gutsy here. He has to be. Not even happening, I figured. Jerry Pate makes it. Fred Smith doesn't have to do anything special. Greg Norman just fumbled in the end, and his perfect mark is going to be taken out. Pate makes the shot anyhow. He wins by 2. And poor Greg Norman. Bad luck. There's still 3 more matches, and the world team is leading in all of them. What's our clock say? 14 minutes. So we'll just set one matchup. Chi beats Mark Brooks, so that's his first point of the day of the tournament. 1 out of 4. Bruce Crampton up by 4 over Bob Clay, trying to get to the point. Trying to score a point. 4 up with 5 to play. Tway, it's on the fairway, aren't you clapping? Second shot. Crampton. Up and over. Well, he hits the rough. Tway. He hits the bunker. Crampton, stay away from the bunker. He does. And, oh, he almost pulled it out. Holy St. Laurent, bitch. Holy St. Laurent. For birdie. Nice. Crampton up to half the hole. He does. And then Marsh beats Bob Murphy. So Marsh wins. So I think the world team has won, what, 6 today? I think they'll win more and at least cut the deficit down to like 8 points or something like that. Crampton, up and over. Oh, man. Well, Tway, just stay dry. He does. Bad luck for Crampton. Fortunately, he has such a lead. He doesn't have to win a hole. He just can't lose. Tway wins that hole. And it's a 10-point deficit. If Crampton wins, it's a 9-point deficit, which means the Americans just need 3 points. Yeah, in case of a tie, there's no playoff. Yeah, then the Americans just need 3 points. Tway for birdie. They just need to win 3 games tomorrow for the match. If that match, Crampton wins. He beats Bob Tway. So the world team got 6 wins today, but so did the Americans. So the 9-point differential actually stays 9 points. Yeah, the last 3 matches were to the world team, but the U.S. had 6 out of 9. Nicholas, Jansen, Trevino, Lehman, Payne, and Couples all won. On the U.S. world team, Faraday, Baker Finch, Elkington, Chi-Chi, Marsh, and Crampton all did their jobs. But the Americans are up by 9, which means, if the math is correct, the Americans just have to win 3 matches. The world team would have to win 9. Well, the world team, there's 12 matches, right? No, wait a minute. Hold a minute. Hold on. I'm looking at it wrong. 12-3. No, Jeff, no. The Americans just have to win 2, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the Americans have their magic number is 2. Okay, sorry. Because 12 matches, 2 at 10 is 8. Not enough. So the Americans' magic number is 2 tomorrow. And they will have to play tomorrow. There will be a day 5. So points-wise, let's see who's low on points. Who's got like 2 points? Yeah, who's got less than 2 points? Okay, so Nicholas goes, of course, Lehman, Green, Pate, Couples. Trevino's the only one who's 4 for 4. He goes last. For the world team, Frank Nabila still has yet to score a point. Wayne Grady can't do anything. Faraday, Baker Finch, Chi-Chi, Crampton, Fulton, then Franco, Cole, Marsh, Norman, Elkington. All right, so the matchups will be Jansen versus Dobilo, Floyd versus Grady, O'Meara, Faraday, Brooks, Baker, Finch, Murphy, Chi-Chi, Tway, Crampton, Nicholas, Allen, Lehman, Franco, Green, Cole, Pate, Marsh, Couples, Norman, and Trevino, Elkington. Stats-wise, Lee Trevino has 4 points. Trevino's 4 for 4. All he has to do is win, and he's got himself a trip to Augusta. If not, Nicholas, Lehman, Hubie, Pate, and Couples all can sneak up behind him and pull it off. The world side, Elkington's 4 for 4. If Elkington, it's Trevino 4-0 against Elkington 4-0. If Elkington wins, he's got himself probably a trip to the final 2. Norman and Marsh are going to try to ruin Elkington's chances to get into a top 2 spot automatically. Grady and Allen only have half a point. Frank Dobilo has yet to put up 1 victory. So, yeah. So, we'll keep our eyeballs on Trevino versus Elkington because that match actually is important because it depends on who goes to Augusta, who goes to the backup tournament, and who gets shafted. It has happened before. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.